The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. From childhood, most of us are trained to become the perfect employees, obedient, dependable, and replaceable. Not free thinkers, not creators, but workers. That's why poverty often isn't about laziness, it's about mental programming. And that programming shapes how we see money, success, and even ourselves. You're watching Mastermind, the channel that unlocks the secrets of money, power, and success. Subscribe now and join the community of future millionaires. The psychology of poverty. Think back to school. From the very first bell, you were taught to sit still, raise your hand for permission, follow instructions, and complete assignments on time. That wasn't an accident. It was modeled after the factory system during the Industrial Revolution. Schools were designed to produce disciplined employees for companies, not free minds for entrepreneurship. This is why we're taught to memorize, not to create. We're trained to follow schedules, not to build systems. Have you ever wondered why schools rarely teach about money, investing, or entrepreneurship? Because a population that thinks for itself is harder to control. This conditioning shapes your psychology. You learn to trade hours for dollars. You learn to wait for directions instead of thinking for yourself. You learn that risk is dangerous and that stability, even if it means being broke, is the ultimate goal. And so, the psychology of poverty takes root. People don't dream bigger because they're scared to lose what little they already have. They worry about bills, cling to job security, and stay locked in a cycle of scarcity. You probably know someone who says, "I'd love to start a business, but what if I fail?" That fear is the poverty program talking. They're more afraid of losing than they are excited about winning. How the system reinforces scarcity. The system rewards compliance. Work hard. Don't question authority. Collect your paycheck. Maybe get a small raise each year if you're lucky. But what it really produces is dependency. You depend on jobs for your security. You depend on credit for your emergencies. You depend on a retirement system that might not even exist by the time you're old. And because everyone around you is living the same way, you start to believe that's just how life works. Struggling becomes normal. Debt becomes normal. Stress over money becomes normal. The truth is, poverty isn't only about money. It's about mindset. It's about a system designed to keep you focused on survival, never giving you the time or space to think about freedom. Look around. Most people wake up, rush to work, come home tired, and repeat the cycle until retirement. They're not living, they're just surviving. And the system loves it because a tired, broke population doesn't challenge the rules. The mindset of wealth. Now let's flip the script. Millionaires and billionaires look at the same system and they see it for what it really is, a training ground for employees. But instead of staying inside it, they escape it. They don't measure success by how many hours they work. They measure it by how much freedom they've created. Where the poor fear risk, the wealthy fear stagnation. Where the poor see money as something to save and protect, the wealthy see money as a tool to multiply. That's why they invest in businesses, assets, and ideas. They use money to create more money, not just to cover expenses. They don't wait for permission, they create opportunities. Take Oprah Winfrey. She grew up in poverty, facing challenges that would have broken most people. But instead of accepting the script handed to her, she rewrote her own. She turned her gift of communication into one of the most powerful media empires in the world. She didn't just host a show, she built networks, launched companies, and invested in businesses. Today, she's not just wealthy, She's free because she stopped thinking like an employee and started thinking like an owner. Or look at Elon Musk. He didn't stop at being an employee in tech companies. He built PayPal, then reinvested everything he earned into SpaceX and Tesla businesses that most people thought were insane ideas. While others clung to stability, Musk risked everything for vision, and that vision multiplied into billions. Warren Buffett started with a paper route and small investments. He became a billionaire because he learned to see opportunity where others saw risk. Sarah Blakely, founder of Spanx, turned $5,000 in savings into a billion-dollar company, all because she refused to think like an employee. Breaking free from employee programming. So how do you escape this system? Not by working harder inside of it, but by reprogramming your mind. Start by asking new questions. Instead of, how can I make more per hour? Ask, how can I earn without trading time for money? Instead of, where can I find job security? Ask, how can I build financial freedom? Instead of, how do I avoid risk? Ask, how can I manage risk in order to grow? The wealthy think like owners. They build systems, networks, and businesses that work for them. They focus on creating value, solving problems, and serving people. And in return, money flows to them. Jay-Z is another example. He started in one of the toughest environments, poverty, crime, and a system that wasn't built for him to win. But he refused to stay in that employee mindset. He started as an independent artist, created his own label, and eventually turned his influence into business empires. Rock Nation, investments in tech companies, real estate, and even champagne brands. Today, he's not just an artist, he's a billionaire businessman. Even regular people have escaped. Some built online businesses from their living rooms. Others invested in rental properties or created products that solve small everyday problems. They didn't wait for a degree or permission. They just started. The employee mindset says, work harder. The wealth mindset says, work smarter and make your money work harder than you do. The shift you need to make. Breaking out of the psychology of poverty doesn't happen overnight. It requires unlearning years of conditioning. But every shift begins with awareness. Realize that the system was built to make you useful, not free. Understand that poverty is maintained by fear, while wealth is built on vision. Recognize that compliance produces dependency, but creativity produces independence. Ask yourself this: what would your life look like if you stopped working for survival and started working for freedom? The moment you stop thinking like an employee and start thinking like an owner, you step onto the path of wealth. So remember this: the system was never designed to set you free. It was designed to keep you in line. Poverty is the result of following that design without question. Wealth is the result of breaking it, of thinking differently, of creating instead of waiting, of refusing to let fear dictate your choices. You can choose to remain the perfect employee, or you can choose to become the architect of your own freedom. This is Mastermind ... If this message woke something up in you, subscribe now, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and most importantly, drop a comment below. Tell us your biggest takeaway from this video or the mindset shift you're ready to make. I read every comment, and your thoughts might inspire someone else to take action too.